learn a language but you're a busy student with no time or money? Well, you're probably approaching learning a language in the wrong way. Tip 1. When you begin to learn a language, it's important to build a foundation and have a strong basis that the rest of your knowledge comes from. This means studying and practicing tenses and the alphabet of your language, using YouTube and websites and apps like Duolingo. But wait, you already know that. The problem most students face is that they end up stuck at the building blocks and don't add in the next layer of learning: immersion. Obviously, the best thing would be to slide to your target language's country and live there for a year. But that's hardly realistic. The best alternative is what I would call cultural immersion. And the good news is that it's super easy. You begin to replace cultural things like reading the news, watching YouTube, or listening to music. This should not take the joy out of your life, so I'd advocate for a 60-40 split, so that you can still enjoy and consume your favourite native language content, like me. Now, how do I practically implement this in my day? So, I wake up in the morning, yay, and then I walk to the bus stop. And when I walk to the bus stop, I listen to my favourite French music. I'm aiming to incorporate more French podcasts, but honestly, music's giving me the most joy right now, and that's fine. To ensure this isn't passive, I translate the lyrics in my head as much as I can, but again, I don't stress about this too much. And I also try to sing along, dance along to kind of the vibe of the song, and just act like it's an English song. My playlist only has about 15 songs, so that I can increase my familiarity and understanding of them. And this is also quite important to ensure that the act of listening to this music doesn't become passive for me, because if I have no clue what's going on and I've never translated the song before, then it's harder to ensure it doesn't just wash over me in the morning. Once I've gotten to my bus stop and gotten on the bus, I tend to read the news. A few articles in English, because it's always important to have a clear grasp of the news, and then I read a few in French. As this can be above my proficiency level, and news can generally have quite technical and specialist vocabulary, I'm not afraid to translate words and keep them on my phone, and I use Reverso for this so that I make sure I actually get the meaning and I'm not walking around saying random silly things. I keep these words on my phone for future reference. Now, crucially, I still use Duolingo and other apps and websites, but every day via cultural immersion, I challenge myself and overcome the plateaus that many learners face. Tip 2. Use language apps correctly. So, I still use language apps. No shame here. Like Duolingo. We love Duolingo because they're free, easy, and create a structure to your learning, which many students crave as that it has the same familiarity of the classroom. But I use apps correctly. I use them actively. When I learn something new or begin a new topic, I take notes in my language book. As a student, this is perfect, because when I have a spare moment, I can flick through my book and just keep it in my bag, and it gives structure to my revision. Things tend to stick in your brain better when you write them down. And the biggest problem with easy apps like Duolingo is that you easily forget the content that you've been taught. So a language book is a perfect solution. You can customize it and make it fun and make it work for you. It doesn't have to be super structured. I tend to just fill in my language book when I have a bit more motivation, because sometimes it can be a demotivating thing to think, right, I have my lesson, now I have to get my book out and blah blah blah. It can add a bit more stress. Tip 3. Ultimately, consistency is crucial. And to be consistent, you need to be clear and motivated. Clear, I hear you ask? You need to be clear in what your end goal is. This could be fluency, just reading the newspaper, or just spoken communication, or a different goal entirely. Then, actually tailor your learning to your final goal. It's okay if you specialise in how you learn. You don't have to learn like you learn in the classroom. If your goal is literally to read the newspaper, then there's no point doing listening or speaking, is there? Once you're clear on the final result that you're aiming for, then work towards that. If you want to read the newspaper, spend more time reading different content. Spend more time with specialist vocabulary to do with business and technology and politics that you might find in the newspaper. Now, my second point, motivation is much harder. You can't rely on it every day. You just have to build the habit and show up. And over time, it does become a habit and you do become motivated. And this is what apps like Duolingo do really well. And why I'd recommend that you always start with them, because then you've built the habit of spending time learning the language every day, and then you can tack on other habits like listening to podcasts and music in your target language. But if motivation continues to be an issue for you, then it's really useful for you to remember why you started and how far you've come. This could be in the form of your phone wallpaper being pictures of your favourite places in France or places that you want to visit, or you could keep a book, is quite a good idea, that you really want to read in your target language. That is your final goal. Keep that somewhere quite visible, so then you look at that every day. And another amazing way to stay motivated is by following me for content that's sure to engage, motivate and inspire, so that we can all become the best people that we can be. Thank you so much for watching. Comment below any suggestions that you have for other people struggling to learn the language, and have an awesome day.